I'm Gabriel, and I'm here to tell you why not to make traditional, quote-unquote, indie games. So a little bit about myself. I'm the head of design at Kwalee. I've been 5 years in hyper-casual games. I'm not even sure how old that genre is, but it isn't much older than that, and I'm not even sure if we called it hyper-casual back then, if that term even existed. And what's maybe relevant to this talk, I've started out as a solo developer, had my own little studio, self-funded, so that this will be relevant later. A little bit about Kwalee. We are based in beautiful Leamington Spa in the UK. We are growing really quickly. Like, we have new teams in Bangalore in India being scaled, in Beijing, in Turkey. Our games have reached almost 500 million downloads, which is staggering. Like, a significant portion of the world's population has played our games, which is mind-blowing. And we are the UK's biggest hyper-casual games publisher. We publish games from external developer, and we develop our own games. So just for those who might not be that familiar with hyper-casual games, so what are hyper-casual games? It's if you go on your phone and open the App Store or the Google Play Store, you go to the game charts, scroll to the top, usually you'll see a lot of hyper-casual games there. Those are these simple, approachable games. They're free, so we make most of our money through ads. And in order to do that, we need to reach a very wide demographic. So it's really interesting when we look at our analytics data. We see from little kids to pensioners basically playing our games, which I believe hyper-casual games are the genre that reaches the widest possible audience. I could be wrong, which makes hyper-casual games also unique in that sense. And yeah, who is this talk for? This talk is for anyone who wants to make their own games, who likes to play games, who maybe thinks, oh, I want to do that. I want to show my creativity to the world. And maybe you're a student who has just graduated from some kind of game design, game programming related course. Maybe you're a hobbyist. Maybe you've gone through a few Unity tutorials and you think, oh, I want to give this a try, and this talk is for you. So where do people go to most of the time when they want to do their own thing? Is what I said, like, quote unquote traditional indie games, like stuff you'd see on Steam. Steam is big for that. And I can clearly see why. Those games are amazing. Everybody loves to play them, and people obviously want to make stuff that they like to play themselves. There's the amount of genres and the creativity you can bring into these games is limitless, which is very appealing. You're not constrained by any rules that maybe like traditional AAA games are. And last but not least, there's also these stories of fame and fortune, of bedroom developers working for years on their games, and suddenly getting having a huge success with them, becoming millionaires overnight, having their name printed in game magazines and whatnot. Like, these stories are certainly appealing to some people, at least. And what I'm here to tell you is basically hyper-casuals. Working on hyper-casual games offers all of that and then some, and has some distinct advantages, which I'll get into in detail in this talk. So an important aspect is, of course, the creativity. Like, if you're a creative thinker, if you're a creative person, you want to express yourself. You don't want to be constrained by boundaries, by certain rule sets. And I'm here to tell you, like, hyper-casual games are probably the most diverse genre of games. There are countless subgenres. There are new ones being discovered constantly. And just to give you sort of a quick a quick glimpse into our portfolio, what Kwalee has made in recent times. For example, this game, it's called Overtake, which is a game, sort of like a racing game, but you're more racing against traffic, really fun game. Bake It, this is a pastry baking simulator, essentially. This is Sharpshooter Blitz, basically a first-person shooter in a simplified, hyper-casual format. Really fun game. We've published that recently. Was developed by an external developer. Amazing game. One of our big hit games is Droid. It's basically Pictionary as a mobile game. Was a huge success for us. Made huge waves. Off the Rails 3D. Here you get to be a train conductor. This is a very, very recent release. Stay tuned to see more of that one. It's called Blade Forge, and you make swords here. And you make swords, and then you get to use them in sort of a competition. A really cool game. This one is called Teacher Simulator. You play as a teacher, but it's actually more of a trivia game, but packaged in a really appealing format. This is Big Battle 3D, a game we released last year, was a big hit for us. And that one was reminiscent of like real-time strategy games, a genre which I really love on PC. And this game sort of scratches that itch. Another one of our recent hits, Let's Be Cops. You get to play as a traffic police officer. This is a Looper. This looks completely different. It's like minimalist aesthetic. It's a rhythm-based timing game, very arcadey, very fun, has a great soundtrack. You should check it out. There's another one of our recent hits. It's called Sneak Thief 3D, and it's a first-person stealth game, believe it or not. So you see this very wide range of different genres we can have. And the creativity extends also to making the games themselves. Like this is just a behind the scenes view of Sneak Thief 3D, and you can see the complexity of the levels we made. Like I started making games as in the Half-Life and Counter-Strike modding community. I used to make Half-Life mods and Counter-Strike maps. And when we worked on Sneak Thief, like I had total flashbacks on working on these maps. Like if level design is your thing, hyper casual games certainly can offer that as well. And we like to say at Kwalee, working on hyper casual games is like doing a game jam every day, because we are working on so many varied games, and the sky is the limit. Another thing I really like about hyper casual games is that gameplay goes above everything else. Doesn't matter that presentation doesn't mean that presentation doesn't matter, but if you have a fun game and it's truly fun to play, and it's also original, so it's not a clone or anything like that, you're very likely to have a hit game on your hands, especially if it also looks fun to play. If you can see the video and see, oh yeah, that looks fun to play, I want to play that. And all that stuff that matters more in AAA games and even indie games, like graphics and story and character and maybe even IP, like do you have the Marvel franchise behind you, stuff like that. It doesn't really matter in hyper casual games. It's a really pure genre, if I dare say, like in the sense that it's all about gameplay, or mostly about gameplay. Graphics do matter a little bit. I'm not going to deny that, but way less than in other genres. So another thing that really appeals to me personally, I'm a person who craves novelty, who doesn't like to get stuck on the same thing for months and years. So the short development time of hyper casual games, it's something that really appeals to me. A lot of our prototypes, most of our prototypes are developed in less than a week. Like on the left side, you can see a screenshot of our recent hit, Let's Be Cops. And I've checked actually the timestamps on Slack when I got this. This is a screenshot from a video, and I got the screenshot from, and it took us less than a day to have like the core functionality of the game, We then spent a little bit more time to polish it and add a little bit prettier graphics and stuff like that. But the core functionality was there after less than a day. So hyper casual games can be developed in a really in very little time, which makes it appealing. You get to work on something new virtually every week, which at least for me is very appealing. And now we're doing something called CTR tests, which means we just test the marketability of the game. And what CTR tests allow us to do is basically we don't even need a prototype anymore. We just need a gameplay video. It doesn't even need to be recorded from on a phone. It can be recorded from the Unity editor. It doesn't need to have a lot of content, like if we have a minute of gameplay we can show, that's all we need. It doesn't need to be very polished. It doesn't need to work properly. If it has bugs, we just don't record footage of these bugs. So that allows us to even quicker test game ideas, which I think is very exciting. Especially if you're somebody who has like this stream of creative ideas and you just want them all made. Hyper casual games are cheaper to produce. Like there's just less of an expectation of production quality. Like using asset packs is not frowned upon. Like if you sometimes on Steam you see games like which and you see their reviews and it says something like, oh, this is just an asset flip, because players recognize that this is an asset pack that was used in the game. That's not an issue in hyper casual. Nobody's gonna care if you're using asset packs, so that saves a lot of money and time. Programming is often not very complex. Like there's usually the AI, if there's any AI, then it's very simple. We don't really do multiplayer. Like we use bots as a, I mean, there are some hyper casual games that sort of imply that they look like they are multiplayer games, but that's just smoke and mirrors. Those are all bots. Sorry if I gave away the secret of anyone. We don't need sounds. People usually don't play them with sound on, so those are not really needed, at least not for the initial versions. We can add it later on if a game does well. And there's not a lot of content required. Like there's no expectation of having like 8 hours of playtime. It can do with much less than that, as long as the game is fun and engaging. That's you don't need to have like, I don't know, 8 hours of unique levels or anything like that. So that saves production time. Here's a scary headline I found on Ars Technica. It says 80% of Steam games earn under $5,000 in the first 2 weeks, which is frightening. Like that means there's a lot of developers that don't break even, maybe, or barely make a profit with their games. And also, if you think about it, with traditional indie games, the development times are much longer. So you spend months, if not years, working on your baby. You don't have any income during that time. You're just eating into your savings or your investor money or whatever source of funds you have, or you're doing it on the side. You don't have any income, and then you release your game to the world, and then it's like the dice roll. Is it going to make enough money? Is it going to make the money back or not? Which is a frightening prospect. Like I've been there. It's indeed very frightening. And what hyper casual games offer, at least when working with Kwalee, I cannot speak for our competitors, but when working with Kwalee, when we're publishing a game with us, we do offer advance payments. We do offer milestone payments if certain KPIs are met. We can build that relationship with the solo developer or an independent developer to stay afloat, even and get some money even before the game is really released, even before the game is really profitable. We do offer that, and like I've mentioned earlier. With hyper casual games, you won't waste a lot of time and money on something that simply won't work. Like another thing, hyper casual games, you need an artist, you need a programmer, you need a game designer. As I've mentioned earlier, like asset packs are a thing. So if you're a programmer who has a good sense for aesthetics and knows how to put together some assets, maybe you don't even need an artist. Or if you're an artist who sort of dabbled into scripting, maybe the game you come up with is simple enough that it doesn't even that you can basically write it yourself. The code, it's a lot of them can be written in very rather simple Unity scripts, and that's why I say it's you need a team of 3 people or less to get to work on hyper casual games. And another thing that really would appeal to me, and if I were an independent developer making hyper casual games, it's that you only, for at least, again with the caveat, working with us, working with Kwalee, publishing your game with Kwalee means we take care of the heavy lifting. We take care of the boring stuff. If you look at the pie chart on the left, that's actually based on a real indie game I found, I believe, on Gamasutra. I switched the numbers up a little bit, but it's representative of where time is being spent in the development of an indie game. So you see, more than a third is actually spent on boring stuff. I would say, like marketing and bug fixing. I mean, if you're a game developer, you want to make games. You don't want to spend ages bug fixing or marketing the game. And we take care of all of that. We take care of ports. If you make an iOS build, we port it to Android and vice versa. We take care of quality assurance. We integrate all these SDKs, you know, the Facebook SDK and ad SDKs and analytics SDK, really tedious stuff that can go wrong. We take care of that. We take care of localization and of course of user acquisition and marketing. So in the indie scene, there is this saying that the last 10% is really the last 90%, meaning like the polishing a game and just getting it out feels like a never-ending story. And I've been there. It's really not fun. But that doesn't necessarily apply to hyper casual games, at least not when working with us. Like we take care of that tail end, that boring thing, and you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, if that sounds like something you'd want to be a part of, you'd want to try, get in touch with us. Write us an email at publishing@kwalee.com. If you're an indie developer who maybe you don't even exactly know where to get started with hyper casual games, just contact us. We will help you get your foot in the door and help you get started with the hyper casual development. Also, of course, if you already have hyper casual games you're working, or if you're already working on a hyper casual game or a game that could be turned maybe into a hyper casual game, contact us, please. We have a really talented team of publishing managers that are going to help you. And I believe it's something, I'm not sure how common it is in with our competitors, but with Kwalee, the publishing team works very, very closely with the design team. We have a very talented design team. We have a proven track record of hit games. Like we, not to brag, but we have two games in the top 5 charts in the US at the moment, in the App Store charts. So we have a track record. We know how to make these games, and we are there to not only make our own games, but we're also there to help indie developers and hyper casual external developers. And the design team supports the publishing managers to make sure if a game doesn't quite meet the KPIs, so we can help there to drag it across the line. And check out Kwalee.com. We have an interesting blog with where we write more about how we work on hyper casual games. And if going solo is not really for you, maybe you lack the funds, or it's too terrifying, or you doesn't fit your life circumstances, and you prefer to have that steady paycheck. go to Kwalee.com, join us. It's a great place to work, like fun people, bunch of perks, all that stuff. Great environment to work. We have something called Creative Wednesdays, which means every Wednesday, everyone at the company, I mean, literally everyone, can work on their own game ideas. And we give you that creative freedom to work on your own game ideas. And what sweetens the deal, we have a profit sharing scheme in place. That means every quarter we get bonuses based on profits and based on your contribution to a profit-making game, which means you sort of get to be almost a little bit like an entrepreneur. You get the creative freedom you would have if you were if you were a solo developer or a small studio. You get paid like an entrepreneur. You get a share of the profits, but you don't have any of the risks because you have a steady paycheck. You have an office environment where everything is provided to you. So it's the best of both worlds. It certainly suits me. Like, I've been a solo developer, and I've been an entrepreneur, and working at Kwalee definitely scratches that entrepreneurial itch I always had. And so, yeah, Kwalee.com/join us. Thank you very much.
The question is, what is the difference between publishing Kwalee program from another programs? It just, Alexander will ask this question like when we will be on air, okay?
What's unique?
I think the big advantage is that we have over some competitors is that we have a very big portfolio of internally developed games that were successful. So we have a track record of making successful games internally, which means we have a very talented team of designers internally. And if you publish with Kwalee, you get access to that team. Like, you get really top level coaching, top level advice from a team of game designers that has a proven track record of successful games.
Good. Looks like you are well prepared. This is really inspiring. Oh, great. Let's wait until we are online.
I think, yeah, we are not online already. I will leave you now, and then I will notify Alexander via Telegram that we are online, and he will start. I'm sorry for all of this trouble. There's the things that we cannot predict. I'm sorry.
Okay, I will not see a Q&A myself, right? I will not see this flow.
Yeah, you will see just yourself and Gabriel.
I will not get another interface from Pine, so I cannot read questions myself, right?
Yep, right. So we have sum up that there are not much questions. So I guess we will discuss with Gabriel some just stuff about Kwalee, I guess, and yeah, all of this.
Okay. Let's wait. So what do you do in Kwalee? What's your role?
I'm the head of design there, and basically overseeing all the internal development from concepts till full production.
Oh, great! It looks like we are on air. Yeah. Let's begin our Q&A session. Thank you for this cool recording. And the first question we have: what's unique about publishing with you compared to other publishers of hyper-casual games?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak too much. I don't know much about what our competitors are doing, but I can say for sure that Kwalee offers something which I believe is a little bit unique. Is that we develop games internally as well. We have our publishing arm, and we have a proven track record of games, successful games being developed internally. So we have a talented design team that is that has a track record, that has that experience. And if you publish with Kwalee, you get access to that design team. Like we do a lot of coaching. We try to help the game. We try to make a good game, turn a good game into a great game, and that just takes a lot of experience from an experienced team of game designers, and that is what Kwalee can offer, which I believe is fairly unique in the industry.
So how long do you try with one game to make it great? After one test, let's say CPI, what you do, how long do you try?
That's a very good question. There is no hard rule for that. It comes a little bit down to a mix of KPIs. We don't even have like really strict targets to reach. Like if the target is, I don't know, 35 day one retention, and then you have 34 that we say no, we're not interested in. We don't do that. Like we look at the big picture. We use also a little bit gut feeling. If we feel this game has potential, what I can say is that CPI is very, very important. It's kind of hard to recover from a bad CPI. So if we don't see a good CPI from the start, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, not going to lie. But all the other stuff, like if we see good CPI, we're going to fight hard to make this a good game. So yeah, we don't really have any like predefined KPIs. What I also can say, the same standards we hold ourselves to internally, we also apply for our publishing arm. So we are being there, we're treating it as an internal game almost in that regard.
I see. Okay, thank you for commenting. By the way, you told a lot about getting from indie games to hyper casual games. Have you had some experience creating indie games yourself? What's about you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I tried. I tried and failed. I had a boring like corporate job. I worked as a system administrator in a big pharmaceutical company. Really boring, safe and stable and all that. But I wanted to make games since I was a kid. And I thought, okay, I have a bunch of savings. Let me just take all my savings, start my own company, and start making indie games. I wanted to make casual mobile games, dabbled a little bit into PC games, and then I realized quickly, okay, this is way more work than I thought it would be. It's a really, really heavy work, very time consuming. It consumes money, of course, especially if you're self-funded and you're sort of on the ramen noodle budget. And then I thought, okay, what do I do now? And at the same time, hyper casual games became a thing. I saw, oh, there's Flappy Bird, there's 2048. There's suddenly these very small games that can be made in a week. And yet make a lot of money, and I thought, oh, interesting. That's now a thing. That's now allowed, and that started my journey in hyper casual games.
That's an exciting journey, actually. I must admit. Okay. So, what are the demands to developers to work with you? Do you fund on idea stage? Let's say if I have just an idea of cool hyper casual game, can I cooperate with you somehow?
Yeah, we cannot promise that we will actually be able to cooperate, but even if it's on an idea stage, or you maybe have a quick trailer, some quick animations you put together, the clearer of a picture we get of what you're after, the better. If it's really just a few sentences of an idea, it's going to be a little bit difficult to imagine what you had in mind. So giving us a little bit visual material, maybe a quick demo you made in Unity, even if it's a little bit crude, it doesn't matter. Send this to us, and we'll have a look and take it from there. And if we see potential, you can rest assured that we will reply. We will reply back anyway. Like we do that anyway. But we will, if we see potential, we'll go forward with it.
Thank you. So even if you reject my game, you're gonna give me some advices, right?
We try to give feedback. Sometimes the feedback can just be, sorry, this is not really hyper casual games. We're not really experienced with that. If you send us like a match 3 game or anything like that, but if you send us a hyper casual games, we can actually, that's where we're good at. That's our expertise. So we can give you actually some pointers where to take either to improve the idea or maybe where to look for another idea. I think it's important in hyper casual to also be able to let go quickly. Like if an idea doesn't quite click, don't waste your time trying to iterate on something that might not ever work. Rather try to find the next big thing. It's very difficult for indie developers. I've been there myself. You get very attached to your babies, right? You get very attached to them. You don't want to let go. You think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But the harsh reality of hyper casual games is also you need to fail often and fail fast. And having that mindset, I think it's something we're trying to coach to the developers we work with.
I see. Thank you very much. Can you please explain a little more clear how where is the border between indie game and hyper casual game? How do you in Kwalee judge what is indie game and what is a hyper casual game you can work with?
It's a very good question. Like, what is the definition of the hyper casual genre? It's a little bit of it is like I know it when I see it, you know, a little bit that. But there are also some rules. Like, for example, hyper casual games are played by people who don't have a lot of time to play, right? They may be waiting for the bus. They have their phone in their hand. They need that quick distraction. They're bored. So hyper casual games have to be bite-sized. You have to be able to play one round in less than a minute, ideally. That's like, I think, one hard rule of hyper casual games. Another one is just accessibility, like being able to jump in quickly, not sit through a long tutorial, and even stuff like just holding the phone, being able to hold the phone in like one hand and play with your thumb. Sounds trivial, but it's actually an important rule. Like, there are so few hyper casual games that you play like this. Very few that had any success, because imagine people are like, I don't know, waiting for the bus, maybe holding their bag and having their phone in one hand. They want to be able to play comfortably without any complicated on-screen buttons or anything like that.
I see. Very good rules, actually. Which markets are your basic expertise? Where are you the most powerful on publishing hyper casual games?
We used to be like focused on Western markets, on Europe and North America. However, lately we see a lot of growth in China and India, which is very exciting. Like suddenly these markets are opening up for hyper casual games. These markets traditionally were more like interested in free-to-play games, role-playing games, and stuff like that. When we had a lot of growth in China recently, so I would say worldwide, like the sky is the limit.
I see. Okay, thank you. Do you see some difference in taste, let's say in China and in Northern America, in hyper casual games?
That's a very good question. Yeah, we do actually, when we release games in China, we do localize them. And that localization goes beyond just translating the text strings. Like, there are certain visual aspects that work better with the Chinese market than they work with the Western market. It's a little bit more character focused, I say, a little bit cuter visuals. They don't like too dark visuals. I'm no expert in that. We actually have a team that is doing that localization, and I was quite surprised seeing what some of our internally developed games have become once we launched them in China. Like I saw some changes. I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that had to be changed or this had to be changed. So we have like a team of experts that really knows what the Chinese market is after. So yeah, there are some differences, definitely.
Great, thank you. Do you provide some copy-paste protection on China market?
Yeah, we do make sure that we have some, so that these games cannot just be copied. We have strong partners in China that ensure that I haven't heard of any issues in that regard. So that pipeline from localizing and releasing it in China is very solid. Keep in mind, in China you don't have the Google Play Store. You have many little or even bigger app stores, so you need to release in all of them, and it's quite an undertaking. But we saw a lot of success with that, and we have a solid way of launching games in China.
Sounds really great. Probably the last question: how do you prefer people to get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
If you are a developer who wants to show us your game, go to publishing@kwalee.com. Very simple. Or you can just go to our website, Kwalee.com. You will see a call to action button right there in the middle. Publish with us. Like you can't really miss it. If you want to join us, if you're interested in working like you were an indie game developer, so you get creative freedom, you get revenue share bonuses, so you get all that sweet stuff you get as a solo developer, but you also have your steady monthly paycheck and you have the job security. Go to kwalee.com/join-us. Or again, just go to kwalee.com. You'll find a link right there in the corner, and get in touch with us. We would be excited to hear about you as a person who maybe wants to join us, or to hear about your game or what your ambitions are in the hyper casual space.
Thank you so much for your great speech, and especially for answering the pretty tough questions. I know they are. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.